Welcome to the Galactic Core Podcast. Here to review the latest films and TV shows from all your favorite intergalactic universes. Now, it's time to get your geek on. Please welcome your host, the prophesized chosen one. It's Andy.
All right, I almost said welcome back to Clan Brandolorian, but we're actually on the Galactic Core Podcast. Me and my boy Bailey are here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Kenobi series, but just want to shout out to Andy of the Galactic Core Podcast. Congratulations on building you and your family, so I hope you guys have a good time, and that's what we're here for, is to fill in the shoes, and we got some big shoes to fill for this great show. I have been a guest on here before, so has Bailey, and here we are. So, man, I hope everyone's doing good out there. But first and foremost, how you doing tonight, Bailey?
Good, right?
Doing good. Very busy weekend, but like I said right before we started this recording, we're here to talk some Star Wars, and a very good show. I remember you and I being pretty hyped for it when it first came out, so it's going to be nice to kind of dive back into what's going on with the Kenobi series almost 2 years later. But I had to grab this off the wall before, but this right here, Obi-Wan Kenobi, just a banger, straight from the Kenobi series. I love these.
I like those a lot.
So smashing. But yeah, so, I mean, shit, let's go ahead and start off, episode 1. Episode 1 of the Kenobi series. We're diving in, and actually, hold on. Before that, the precursor, basically let's catch you up to speed. The kind of intro to the Kenobi series was nothing but the prequels. We see flashbacks of episode 3, episode 2, episode 1. We get to see Yoda talking about basically the chosen one, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, of course. Get to hear Qui-Gon as well, and it's just pretty much everything setting up Anakin, the chosen one, is going to be basically taught the ways of the Force through the Jedi from Qui-Gon, but of course Qui-Gon gets gat, and now it has to be his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi, hence the title of the show, the one to take on and raise young Anakin Skywalker. But what did you think of that, right at the beginning?
I think it's an opportunity for fans who most likely just didn't want to rewatch your sequel trilogy beforehand. It gives you the highlight reel of those movies before we're gonna get into what's going on here. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was a good touch, and I agree, dude. I mean, especially you and I being prequel guys, and especially you kind of deep into the Clone Wars arc and everything that happened between episode 2 and 3, it's just good to go back to those times and just see, basically just revisiting your childhood once again, seeing Mace Windu on there, seeing, a good shot of Coruscant, from the atmosphere, or from the out in outer space, just looking at Coruscant once again, because we haven't seen that in a long time. And seeing Obi-Wan, seeing Anakin, just all the shots from the prequels. This is a good thing to kind of get into. But then, after that, it's basically cut short, and it's Anakin Skywalker is now Darth Vader, the big bad of the galaxy, and he's running rampant with Emperor Palpatine. So, in the end, you just see the reign of the Empire be, kind of 10 years in, or 9 years at the point. So, it's really cool to see that. But like I was trying to say at the beginning, right at the beginning of the episode, it's Order 66. And I'm a sucker for an Order 66 flashback, but I just thought it was crazy. The female Jedi, is showing all of her younglings kind of going through some training. We get to see a young Reva as well and all of that. But I mean, what's up, bro? We're back on, Coruscant at the Jedi Temple, Night of Order 66.
Yeah, that's insane. And it's a small, dorky detail, but this is the first time we've got actual clones on, live action clones, not CGI'd in later. Those were actual costumes. And I mean, those movies coming down for some of them over 20 years later, actually all of them 20 years later now.
Yeah.
The CGI holds up pretty good. But, I mean, obviously, there's really not a whole lot you can do that will look as good as actual characters, actual suits.
Right.
In the frame. And I think that's a really impressive thing. Plus, I mean, here comes Hayden Christensen walking around, looking all big, bad, menacing, and ready to fuck shit up. And I mean, you really can't beat that.
Yeah, no, you can't. That's a good point too, is I didn't even think about how that's the first live action rendition of showing, the 501st just walking through like, yep, we switched up and we're ready to take down the Jedi. That is a good point. Yeah, I do like how, we get to hear Tamora Morrison's voice as well with the clones, really showing that Jango Fett is the sole carrier of these clones and actually who they are. So that's a good shout to Jango Fett as well. But I mean,
that's definitely,
this would be a 6-hour episode if we dive really, really deep into the Kenobi series episode by episode. But I mean, seeing Obi-Wan kind of being like a meat packer, it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is different. This isn't what I expected. But we kind of get to see Obi-Wan doing daily tasks trying to survive on Tatooine. So I thought that was really cool. We get to actually see him struggle, even though he doesn't have to, but he really does have to stay low key and, not really be his true self, kind of enduring the continuation of the training that Yoda gave him at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And I love how everything that we see here is like, this is what Obi-Wan's been up to for the last 9 years.
It's interesting how, he seems like our regular Obi-Wan when we meet him at the end of Revenge of the Sith. But I'm not sure that I've seen a whole lot. I had one small issue with the show was it didn't seem like he really was even trained by Yoda. It seems like more while he was on 1E4 being like this, basically a 9 to 5. But he's got to cut himself off from the Force pretty much completely. We see him try to speak to Qui-Gon a couple times, but I didn't see the point of that because you see, I'll jump one or two episodes later and you kind of catch Leia when she falls off that rooftop. I mean, he's struggling because he hasn't, done anything like this for almost a decade.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy too to think, the last time he really used the Force that we see on screen is, fighting her father. So the next time he taps in and uses the Force, it's to save his daughter. So it's just a weird dynamic how this all comes together, whether that's intentional or not. I mean, I feel like if you're messing with these Star Wars characters, you can always find the similarities and the synchronicities that end up happening over time. But to kind of wrap up the first episode, I thought it was really cool. We get to see the Inquisitors in live action. I don't care what anyone says about the Grand Inquisitor's egghead, none of that. I think it's really, really dope. But at the same time, Powans have, skinnier heads and they're kind of long and lanky. But, I mean, that doesn't mean they all have to be. I mean, we're human and we all come in different shapes and sizes. So I think that's just kind of a common nitpick. But, I mean, I love Rupert Friend playing the GI, so I was down for it. Fifth Brother, too, looked badass. It's also, I can't remember the actor's name right now, but he's also in Fast and Furious. Yeah. Almost said Need for Speed. Need for Speed. It's a good game, though. And then also Moses Ingram, she's a good actress as well. So she definitely has some accountability in being kind of the Inquisitor that kind of gets the forefront, but it's really not the Reva show. I didn't like when people said, she got too much screen time. It's the Reva show. I never really bought into that. We just knew one of the Inquisitors was going to have a little bit of a backstory, and it just so happened to be Reva, who used to actually be a Jedi, even though most of the Inquisitors have, come from the light side, quote unquote, the Jedi, in some sort of way. But it just so happened that Reva's Reva at the end of the day, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I I didn't like how the other Inquisitors were kind of walking scenery for the most part. I mean, I can't remember. I don't think the female one had more than 3 lines.
Not there's it's fourth brother, fifth brother, sixth sister, maybe
I don't know.
sixth sister.
I'll be confused.
She's badass though. I actually like seeing her at the Inquisitorium. That place is pretty cool. Fortress Inquisitorius. Yeah, place is badass. And there's so much jumping around you can do with the Kenobi series. I feel like there's some things where people are like, oh, these are lows. I don't like this. I don't like that Reva's getting a lot of attention here. But one thing I really do like is, and my main thing, and we're going to talk about what happens in the last episode, but episode 2, when we're kind of setting up for the third episode, obviously we see Riva, and Dayu was a badass planet. Everyone was getting cyberpunk vibes from it. Looked badass. Downtown nightlife, Tokyo-esque, like really, really dope. But I mean, we get to see Tamora Morrison as a homeless, ex-military clone trooper, and he still had his 501st armor on. So that was dope as hell.
Yeah, they have him in there, and it had the Obi-Wan Heisenberg reference, which is pretty fun.
Oh, yeah. I love when he runs down that room, and it's just like, oh yeah, this looks very illegal. But then also, seeing Bail Organa and young Leia on Alderaan, that was pretty dope because in 10 years that place is gonna be just dust. So that's it's kind of cool to see it, and it's kind of a highest point, and yeah, that's really cool. I also like a lot of people didn't really like the chase scene with Leia and the bandits, which I can get. I never really care for a child chase scene in anything. It's always dragged out, but I really do like how one of the bandits was Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was a pretty dope thing. Adding in a highly known artist, so from a good band. So I think that was really cool seeing him.
It was spicy.
But yeah, Dayu is really cool. I love how, the GI gets impaled. He's one of Disney's impalements that always survive after taking a blow like that. But Powans do have 2 stomachs, so he'll be all right.
Wow.
But I just think it's so crazy how, like, going back to episode 3, we see Yoda showing Obi-Wan the basically recordings of what was going on at the Jedi Temple, and we hear Palpatine call Anakin Lord Vader, and it seems like Obi-Wan, not knowing who Vader is technically, but as soon as she brings up Anakin, it's just like everything comes back to him, and it's just like Ewan McGregor doing Ewan McGregor things. The acting is just on point. And I just love his true reaction to knowing like Anakin is out there. I don't know who Vader is, because basically the intent of him seeing the recordings happening, it's like he's like blacked out basically. He doesn't just hear the name Vader and was like, oh, that's Anakin's new name. And that attention to detail is really good. So I think that monologue there makes it just work perfectly. So I love that whole thing with her saying Anakin's alive. Really dope.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's reaching out to Qui-Gon and, saying he's coming. And we get to see frickin' Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader in the bacta tank. Not even Anakin Darth Vader. It's Hayden Christensen reprising Darth Vader once again. And just seeing him, in the bacta tank. Like, how dope. Just showing... It just shows his eyes and then just slowly like goes out. Like, dude, that's what I'm here for.
Game like evil spiteful villain of all time, arguably.
Yeah.
I remember texting you when that episode was over. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You're teasing him. I mean, I know we're doing next week now, but now I have to wait another week. I've been, honestly, it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and I love Ewan with that. I mean, it's this It's fucking Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's Darth Vader.
You're mad.
Yeah, that's the thing too, because it's like I remember we were even like, okay, now we need a Vader show, because if Obi-Wan's getting his show, Vader needs a show. Which I think if Disney can do it right, I feel like they could really pull the strings and get Hayden Christensen, not only him coming back in Ahsoka, and then of course for season 2 as well. Definitely give him that one thing where he can just go out with a bang and give us a Darth Vader series. And I feel like this is a time where you let Dave Filoni, tap in and direct this bad boy or write it. But I mean, with him being the CCO, that helps a lot. But man, that would be the show where I'm like, okay, this can't be wrong. But there's a lot of people who'd just be upset with that, which it's like, guys, it's Darth Vader. I don't care if it's just him getting dressed. Like, it's Darth Vader. We need Darth Vader. But to the next point, we go right into episode 3 and we see him just completely getting put together. It's like a broken Lego and you're just putting it together. It's almost phenomenal. You're locked in watching, like, how the hell does he get this suit on? And the way they like put his legs on, the way they had his arms out, putting, attaching limbs.
Yeah.
And oh God, the tubes that are on his back. And then the one thing that really got me was his chest piece where it has the 4 needles and it just goes into his body. Like, oh my God. Like I could not imagine that. But
I mean, he's badass showing it though, because
oh yeah,
we see him in Empire Strikes Back, the current ones.
Yeah. I actually just saw that yesterday. Empire was on a sling actually, and I clicked on it, and then a couple minutes in, had got to that scene where the officer had pulled up on him and was just like, "Hey, we need to see what's up." And yeah, his helmet's coming down. I love that. But yeah, dude, Vader in that suit, he's not comfortable. That was the whole point with Palpatine wanting him to, enrage him at every chance. So I think that's really cool. I mean, because those spikes that go inside of his body, they're sharp. And sometimes when you have those headaches where it just feels like you're just having a needle just hit your brain, and you're like, dude, this shit hurts. So I mean, those are the type of things, and especially with all that rage that Anakin had, it's able to show and continue to show. And that's what kind of gets him at his peak, but a limited peak, of course. That whole suit is just jail in itself. But I think that's cool. And then also too, like, you have the Black Series Darth Vader helmet. So obviously, you get the back piece that then connects to the front, and then it has kind of like the back piece, and then you bring down the front, and then the whole top.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird to see, like, everything was put together, but the back and the front of the helmet just slid down onto his head. So it's kind of like he had minimal pieces at that point. But maybe, over time, getting a different helmet, because I mean, he gets it cracked in this show, he gets it cracked in Rebels, and so he has to get a new helmet every time. So it's very obvious that he's had multiple helmets. But God, dude, what a scene!
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. When you see him march out with the cape flutter.
Ah, yeah, fucking iconic. Talk about aura. These kids want to talk about aura these days. But yeah, and also just him sitting on his throne back on Mustafar at his castle. And someone had pointed out that when you see Vader walk off to the side after talking to Reva, like the hologram message, he goes off and looks out the window, and he's actually looking down at the place where he was basically left for dead by Obi-Wan. So then that counts back to the Obi-Wan series.
I'm not surprised that he built it right there, which is too bad, but
right.
Awesome.
Keep that hatred going. But yeah, that's one episode in itself. We get to see him put together, and then of course this is where him and Obi-Wan show down for the first time. The what have you become, and that shit's dope. But of course, right before, can't ever miss a spot. We get to see that Quinlan is actually still out there somewhere. My goat Jedi who is getting his own show here soon. But we're talking about the Kenobi series. But yeah, I love how, the hidden path is a thing that Tala Durth is actually helping the underlying Jedi fulfill. And she also works for the Empire, so it's kind of cool. We have like a real spy in the mix. And of course, that episode's badass. We see Vader choking a dad. We get to see Vader snapping the neck of a child. Yeah, just a whole episode in itself. Really cool.
Yeah.
But then, of course, dude, just seeing Obi-Wan using his lightsaber again, seeing Vader use his lightsaber again, but it's at each other. And this is kind of where the emotional roller coaster begins, is in this episode.
Yeah. What I really like about this show specifically is we see, he's obviously a bad guy when we see him originally in the original trilogy. He's been doing this for 20 years, but now, when this is going on, not quite halfway into its reign here. He's, this is his prime, pissed off, fuck you, I'm going to cut you in half kind of
Yeah.
anger, and that's what's really cool. We're seeing like the prime, super evil, nothing can stop me earlier.
Right.
You can see him playing with Obi-Wan. He lets him go on this planet Mars. He's playing with his food at this point.
Yeah.
At this point, he's the big dog we got. There's no one really that's gonna fuck with him.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's just, having a little bit of fun with this.
Right. And that's the thing, he, especially when he holds Obi-Wan up over the flames and like drags him through it, he's like, now you're gonna, feel what I felt. Like, that shit's dope, dude. And a lot of people being like, oh, Vader would never flinch at flames, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, it's a good touch because it's like PTSD.
Right, what funny it saw.
Yeah, I'm not trying to turn into a burrito right now. I've already been there. I was overcooked chicken at some point, like this, like fire, that it is what it is. But then also too, it's just like, dude, the way, like you said, he's playing with his food, he's literally playing with Obi-Wan at this point. He knows Obi-Wan is just finally showing it again, and he, tells him that he's weak. So that's a good point. It's really tight to see that. And then of course they get away, and now Obi-Wan's in a bacta tank. So that's cool to see another beloved character, getting the results of a bacta. We see Luke in it, Vader in it, Boba Fett in it, and Obi-Wan. So really tight. But then, kind of skipping forward a little bit, we do get to go to the Inquisitor Temple, basically. So this place was pretty cool. Definitely gave me Cal Kestis vibes, of course. Very commonly to think that way of him, swimming underneath and, entering through the bottom. But what did you think of all of the kind of Jedi tomb catacomb things? Like, I remember that shit had me thinking like, whoa, what's going on? This is something weird. Who are we going to see? Mace Windu, maybe? Quinlan Vos? Like, what's going on out here?
Yeah, I guess they're using it to show how dark these guys are. And, I kind of figured when I saw they started to show, like a young man, and they showed him one master from the Clone Wars, whose name.
Oh, yeah. He has that whole episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
More times. But I kind of figured they would throw someone in there, like, basically do something like that. So I'm not really sure, or what, even, indicated what the point of having is for.
I know. Maybe they touch back on it. I thought in Tales of the Empire they were actually going to show those again. And maybe show them kind of like one of the first ones is actually putting Barriss Offee in there. Like, that would be kind of cool. But yeah, at the same time, I think that would be dope if they actually just ended all of the chances of Mace Windu being out there, like putting him there. Because obviously Palpatine, whether he kept them there for studying, for any midichlorian manipulation. We're starting to see that in the Acolyte, more than likely, up to 150 years into, the reign of the Empire. So that'd be cool. Palpatine has Mace Windu kind of as a trophy, keeping him in a tomb, basically, to be like, this is the one that put me like this. This is the one that actually had me beat. But ultimately I have him in a little chamber right now. Like, that would have been cool. Of course I do want to see my boy Mace Windu out there somewhere, but it's just kind of tough to see what's going on. But if I was to have a speculation or a theory, I think that he'll show up in the third and final Jedi Survivor game.
That I wouldn't mind. I mean, I know Samuel Jackson wants to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you could have him voice act for the game. I mean,
yeah, he can voice act. I mean, maybe aged in for all those Marvel movies a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that on Twitter.
How like Bone something. No.
Yeah. And I mean, we do know that he is dead by the time of Rise of Skywalker, because we hear his voice when all the Jedi talk to Rey. So he is dead at that point. So, and then that also brings up Ahsoka too. Ahsoka's voice is heard, and so she's dead by that time too. So maybe she goes in the Filoni endgame.
Well, not necessarily have to be dead. I would assume at least
unless they get to the world between worlds somehow, and she's able to project out. Maybe she sees them through a portal. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think they necessarily have to be dead. So I don't know how long Ahsoka's species lives. But I would assume, just by passage of time at this point, basically it would be dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he'd be old.
Yeah, if he'd be older, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that was cool, seeing also Obi-Wan. This is also controversial. Obi-Wan just baseball batting all the stormtroopers with his lightsaber. I thought that was a cool scene, though, when we get to see him kind of just like flash in and out of the darkness, igniting his lightsaber and then deactivating it. That was a cool little sequence.
Yeah, he's getting his food back. That was nasty.
Yeah, that was dope. Definitely seeing him kind of tap back into things. But in that later half of the episodes, I will say I do love the the part where they're on the, is it Jabim? Jabim, maybe?
Jabim?
It's where they have basically the hidden path. They have all these, force sensitive families, and then they also have Cowan Roken, Ice Cube's son, there. And this is basically where the Empire storms down, and basically they want to interrupt everything because they know Kenobi is there. So that was really cool seeing them kind of work with all of these families and all of these force sensitive people, trying to get them off planet. And this is, of course, kind of fast forwarding again. We get to see, excuse me, we get to see Reva telling Obi-Wan basically everything that happened. He was able to sense that she was there and saw him, and it was just kind of weird how it just all played in. Reva saying that she had to fake that she was dead, and she also got impaled again for the first time there. But I thought it was really cool to see that dynamic of Obi-Wan being like, I know exactly who you are, and like, everything that went on with you, like, you're a survivor.
Yeah.
Everything basically, like, through the door too. But then she's like, all right, enough of what you're saying, and just impales the door, basically blasting it open. The Empire goes in, and then Obi-Wan's, he has a swagger back 100%. He's fighting everyone off. And of course, Tala risks it all. She has a thermal detonator, and it's the exact one that Leia has in Return of the Jedi, which is a really cool little Easter egg. But yeah, her and Ned B just take one for the team, and it allows them to get on. So, but of course, once Vader touches down, it's over, bro.
It's over.
And of course, him being this close to Obi-Wan, basically pulling a Star Killer and just stopping that ship as they leave. Like, that shit was badass, bro. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, Raise it apart like it's fucking tinfoil.
Yeah, for real.
That's cool.
But then, of course, you know, your hatred can also just make you so ignorant at the same time. And as he's messing with that one, the real ship takes off. And that was really cool to show. But then again, this is when Reva tries to sneak attack Vader. And yeah, things don't go the way she planned.
No, she just gets cocked. She just gets absolutely fucking clown.
I love
there's
how
no other way to put it. He just disrespects her. He's not even having fun. He's just being a dick.
Yeah, 100%. I love how he like breaks the lightsaber in half and then throws her on hers on the ground, lets her get it, and then he kicks her ass.
Yeah, and he doesn't even use his. It's like, I'm likely to reach for this with off.
Oh yeah,
belt, bro. You're
swings them.
You're not even worth the time.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even need this.
You just throw it on like a fucking chew toy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really, really good. And then of course, when she's down on her luck, she has the like the back and forth dynamic of like when Anakin had, you know, impaled her the first time, and then now it comes back. It's like a full circle again. And this time, first time, I don't really know. You know, all I know is that she survived it, whatever. But then again, the second time, she has so much hate running through her that she's able to keep herself alive, just like Maul, the way he was able to survive after getting, a little banana split by Kenobi. The hatred is what kept, him alive. And then this is basically what Reva did as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely love that. Really cool. But man, episode 6, the finale, like I'm pretty sure the description on Disney Plus when you go to this channel this episode is the action-packed or a final duel in the finale. Like it's something along those lines. And it's just like, oh, I know what's happening in this episode. The one everyone was talking about. And everything builds up perfectly. You know, we get to that like moon world where Obi-Wan is like, I'm taking a detour, you guys go. And Vader, tells the Empire, he's like, listen, prepare my ship, I'm going. And this is some of the best Star Wars, up to date. Like it's easily a top 5 moment in all of Star Wars for me. I'm not going to speak for you, but
that it is,
bro.
Anything bro with it.
That their third fight, this is the one where leading into A New Hope, when Vader and Ben Kenobi fight, and he's like, last time we met, I was much the learner. Now I'm the master, 10 more years of this pent up anger and, basically training for this moment if they were to ever, meet again. And, we'll go back to it. But of course, in episode 4, like that is the most lousy fight ever in Star Wars with 2 lightsabers. It's about up to par with Shin versus Sabine the first time.
Yeah, what you gonna do with the 70s, 77? I mean,
oh yeah, not even with the time it came out. It's just the point where it's Obi-Wan is just like, yeah, like I don't really need to fight you right now because I already know what I'm setting up for. I feel like once he wanted to leave Tatooine with Luke, he already knew that if they ran into Vader, it was just that's what he'd have to do. It's all for Luke now. Luke is basically finishing what Obi-Wan was, set to do. So, but yeah, I mean the fight, it's just, Obi-Wan doesn't even try. He knows what has to happen. And that's why I say it's lousy, is just because he's just like, I don't need to do this. I'm gonna let Vader think he has this, but what is yet to come is his son. And he's now the chosen one. And if not, then it's up to Leia, and that's our only hope, So it's funny how all these things come full circle. But back to the Kenobi series, in the finale, seeing those 2 fight once again was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
That was sick.
It's something you look at and you're like, okay, this is Star Wars. We're back. This is what's going on. Everything here is exactly what you want to see. You know, seeing, and for me, it's the dialogue, dude. Just hearing Vader, grunting actually when he's fighting Obi-Wan. Like, this fight means the world to him. Like, he has to, kill him essentially, Um, everything from Padme not being here, from him, this entire turn to the dark side, there's no point to it anymore. It was to save Padme. So for 9 years, he's just been cooking in this hate and basically just being manipulated by Palpatine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's facts. And this is the only issue I have with that fight is they're cutting in between that and Reva chasing around Luke on Tatooine, which, in my opinion, was just annoying because we know every one of those guys, obviously Luke especially, because he's the original main character, is going to be fine. I mean, even though that Aunt Maru is going to be fine because she's going to get French toast in the first week.
yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of annoying. We know everyone's going to be fine. We know she's going to like. That was just kind of pointless.
Yeah.
He's don't. If you want this to happen later, fine. But he's give us the fight. Don't make us cut back and forth.
Right. Yeah. So that was a thing too, because I was like, well, has Luke seen a lightsaber before? Like maybe he wouldn't think anything of it. Like, what was that one night? When my uncle told me that Tusken Raiders were invading this side of the, for like moisture farming and all that. Like, is that what Luke actually thought and saw? But yeah, I hate how we're kind of, like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then we're taken out of it and we're like you said, like, oh, yep, Luke, he's going to be fine, Like,
there's no saves.
And then it's like, oh, now we're back to this. And then it's like, okay, let me get ramped up again. And then now we see Vader actually come out on top and throw Obi-Wan down into a sinkhole. And he gets his ass covered like he's being buried alive, basically.
Yeah.
And
then he gets this full space, Jesus.
Oh yeah, this is the Attack of the Clones Ewan McGregor that we see. This is the real space Jesus. This is who we're talking about.
Yeah.
And he gets flashes of, a young Luke, a young Leia, everything he's basically been through the last 9 years, overlooking a young child, making sure that he is able to carry on, everything that was, sought to be for the Jedi. And then, of course, just the recent run-ins and trying to save Leia. Now, Obi-Wan's like, nah, I have to rise to the occasion, and just absolutely gets out of this hole and just runs down Vader. And this is like 2.0. This is, Kenobi versus Vader 2.0. This is the real deal. And man, just the choreography, the way they fight, everything that goes into it, it's beautiful, dude. Like, I absolutely loved the way that they finished. And of course, all the leaks and rumors at the time of Vader getting his helmet cut and just seeing that happen, bro.
The voice switching between him, and Darth Vader, and the reflections of lightsabers, him flashing to the light side for just a second.
Dude.
Right back to the dark.
Dude. Deborah Chow, shout out to you. You get a full round of applause. That shit, oh my God. And apparently the lightsaber sequence showing the light and the dark, the blue and the red, it was unintentional. It just so happened to work. And it's really cool, especially in like nowadays, especially Disney Star Wars, is I feel like the lightsabers are more vibrant, instead of like a light blue lightsaber like in, the original trilogy, or like a really light green. The prequels kind of get a little bit brighter, a little deeper in color, but then Disney Star Wars is like, oh, that guy really has a blue lightsaber. So I love those effects that they use here. You really get to see the color, but dude, just the fact of Obi-Wan just basically just soaring and just giving him a backhand with the lightsaber and absolutely cutting his helmet. But the really cool thing too is we get to see, the butt of a lightsaber being used in a really, offensive way, breaking his chest piece with the, the butt of the hilt. Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool to see, the lightsaber being used in another way. But of course, yeah, just the heartbreak, God, you want to cry, you want to pull a theory and just be like, oh, cry about this. But it touches home, dude, especially as a prequels fan that we are, seeing these beloved characters. We see Vader, older, we see Kenobi as an old man, but when you see them young and just going back and seeing how these characters get to where they are in the end, it's just like, oh my God, dude, stop. God damn it.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan telling Anakin he was sorry for everything, and Obi-Wan, you can only imagine the guilt that Obi-Wan carries for that man.
Yeah. I mean, especially, until just a couple days before, he thought he'd kill me.
Right.
And now he's saying that not only not to him, but he's turned it into a horribly disfigured monster.
And I love how, Obi-Wan tells him, you're with the people that you swore against, you were on the opposite team. Now you're everything you've learned not to be, everything that you've ever done is to not be a part of this group. And it just didn't work. But at the same time, everything that ever happened in Star Wars with Anakin, it had to happen because in the end, he brought balance to the Force. He ended the Jedi and he ended the Sith, until Palpatine comes back later, but that's different. It's him ending the Jedi once upon a time and then ending the Sith once upon a time. So really, really dope. But
yeah,
I don't know, dude, that fight and just seeing Vader's Lambda shuttle landing and just seeing it in the background, it's like, fuck, dude. And
he seriously stepped from stuff.
Oh yeah, always. And especially after the Acolyte, I'm Team Sith. I've always loved Jedi. I love Sith too. I prefer, Mandalorians and, bounty hunters. But the Sith right now, dude, they're on the top of the pedestal right now.
Yeah, that guy was left her, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'd be like 10 seasons of a show if he didn't watch everyone.
Yeah. I know, and just adding Plagueis, it's like, yes, this story's going somewhere, I just think it would be really cool is if they, go forward a little bit more and they kind of basically use Osha and May kind of as a revamp. Like, this is how we're going to create the real one. This is how we're going to create Anakin.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, I would just love for Chimere, the Stranger, for his character to be replaced by Palpatine. I think that would be a really cool, one-up.
I'm sure that's how they're going to end up doing it.
Yeah, they have to. Because supposedly in the Plagueis novels, Plagueis has had his run-in with a few apprentices. He's had more than just Palpatine. So I think that's going to match pretty well. But just seeing where all this shit began, dude. Because we see. If you watch episode 4, back in the late 70s, and then you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, you get to see a young Obi-Wan, and now you're like, oh, okay, this character's really, coming around. And then being able to see the Kenobi series that, like we've talked about in this episode, it's dope to see a lineage of a character. So. Yeah. I think that's going to be really cool to, kind of get in with that with Chimere, because obviously everyone loves him, just like everyone loves Shin. Everyone loves Hayden now. I think it's going to come around for a lot of characters, which is just crazy to think that people didn't like Hayden Christensen at one point.
And facts.
And all of this is what's, brought Hayden back to the big screen. So, shout out to the Kenobi series. I thought it was a very solid project. I don't think it was horrible by any means, and I don't think it was the greatest show ever. But goddamn, it was fucking solid.
It was solid. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. There's some things I don't like, but for the most part, there's more that I ended up very much liking than I think it's a fast.
Yeah. That's the thing, is sometimes you just don't like it, or you do, and then sometimes you just gotta let it, settle and see what happens. I used to hate the fact that Ahsoka Tano was even a character. I'm like, Anakin doesn't have a Padawan. He was never a master. This makes no sense. Rebels, I didn't like just this random Jedi who finds a young kid and is like, oh, you're my Padawan now. It's like, nah, dude, I don't know. I don't like that. But I allowed myself to sit during quarantine and actually watch the Clone Wars, and it's some of the best shit I've ever seen. Ahsoka is easily top 10 character of all Star Wars for me. So, I mean, even I went through it. I didn't like some things, but just gotta give it some time, and if you don't like it, it's fine too.
Yeah, you don't have to like everything. I'm sure there's going to be a show that's going to come out at some point, and we're going to be watching it. I'm going to text you, and it's just fucking all shit.
Yeah, this is absolute ass. What is this?
You're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. What the fuck is wrong?
That's usually how I am, though. But I feel like it's because my expectations are always low. The only thing I didn't like with the Acolyte was just kind of like, what is this twin shit? Like, what is going on? Like, why is there two of them, and it's played by one actress, which, cool acting, like that would be really hard to play two different people. But it's just like,
we should give it a
like, it's like Gemini Man, like with Will Smith, trying to fight himself. It's like, why? But I mean, you get things like Chimera, like killing 8 Jedi straight. It's like the game Clue, Vernestra is covering shit up. But yeah, I mean,
stupid bitch.
Yeah, I know. It's like, fuck, man. Vernestra, bitch. She'll kick the can soon. She has to.
Oh,
she's like a High Republic favorite, like a fan favorite too. But oh, hey, Kenobi series. Shout out to Robert. Check this out.
Oh, nice.
Little Lola, dude. Lola is fucking dope.
You know Eagle too?
Nope, don't.
No, you.
It's cool though. You can like, oh shit, close the the ear things or whatever. Makes it look like a little dragonfly. But yeah, this shit's tight, dude. Fucking.
That's cool.
Oh, Lola. Yep. But yeah, dude, fucking Kenobi series, badass, man. Is there anything else that we left off about the Kenobi series?
I don't think so. If you get anything from this series, I just want everyone to know that Darth Vader is the greatest character of all time.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yes. And Andy, we're guest hosting for you, but I know you can agree with Bailey on that. It's Darth Vader is just one of those characters, bro, where it's like, he's not my favorite character, but he's my second favorite. Anakin / Vader, my second favorite character. And it has to go Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, I always talk about Quinlan Vos, but I need more of him to be like, hey, I'm a Quinlan guy. I mean, like, I count myself as a Quinlan guy, but I want to see him. I want to see more Quinlan. But Obi-Wan and Vader, like, this is a show of the two characters that I love the most. And I thought they did a really good job. But goddamn, dude, like we go through things in real life where you're just like, man, I want to let my pent up anger get the best of it, to feel better. But we see how that ends up with Vader. It teaches you a life story as well. And just understanding, like, was he being, did he really love Padme, like at first, he's just a little kid, but the kid was starstruck no matter what age it was, George Lucas, you get a pass this time. We've already seen you have siblings kiss, but not 14 and 9-year-olds. But of course we get a 19-year-old Anakin and a 24-year-old Padme, and it's like, okay, this is where you can have them begin this romance. Very, very smart. But yeah, dude, it's just like, man, and just seeing how everything ends just because of this love for one another. Really, really dope.
Yeah, it's such a good show, and I wish they would do I don't know what they could do with more of it, because I don't think they can toss him with Darth Vader in there, which really wouldn't make it as fun.
Yeah. And really, a Kenobi
So-
season 2 would just be him and Qui-Gon, exploring a little bit more.
I don't know. I mean, if Elon wants to do it, I'm all for it. I really don't know what they do with it. Just
Yeah.
give me a mini series of Darth Vader going around fucking shit up. Just one.
Dude.
That's all I'm asking for. I will sign over my car and my soul if you need me to.
Yeah. Disney, here's my soul.
That's what I want to see.
Just to end it off, imagine, we could go, through the reign of the Empire, between episode 3 and 4 and get a Vader series. But how dope would it be is if right after A New Hope, when Vader gets flung off, he actually, I don't know if it's canon or legends, but supposedly he gets thrown off and crash lands on a planet, and he has to actually kill all these these locals basically, because they're fucking with him. They crash lands on their planet and they're trying to kill him, and he just goes ape shit on them, absolutely just pissed off. The Death Star just blew up, and everything that he's worked hard for is just all fucking gone again. So that'd be tight, is if we kind of just this scene opens up in this Vader series and it's just him spinning out of control, crash landing on this planet, and basically kind of going Kylo Ren on Mustafar on all of their locals. That shit was dope. Maybe give us some just Vader opening scene just going ham.
Yeah, it's ape shit psychopath Vader. Yeah.
Yes. Give it.
That's what I was.
If they want to do something dark, it's a Vader show. And give it
Yeah.
to us. It doesn't, and for me, everyone's oh, a R-rated Darth Vader film would be dope. And it's oh yeah, that, anything Vader would be dope. But I mean, not, with Disney, you're not going to get an R-rated project. So just go ahead and people getting limbs cut off, heads cut off, it might be off screen, but I mean, how many times have we
can
seen?
tell what's happening.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't need, it's just Dooku seeing his head roll down, or even Jango Fett. You don't even really see. It's all, shadow and off screen. So we're not dumb. We see what's going on.
Yeah, so there's something like that.
That show would be dope. Maybe we'll have to make a petition for them to make a Vader after episode 4 or something. That'd be tight.
Let's see.
But
Just show us anyone psycho and just these greatest showman kind of stuff. In the end of World 1, where
yes,
he turns all his fucking life support shit off for the sole purpose of dramatic flair.
yeah,
And after that is, he's in space, he's using the fucking Force to flutter his cape in the breeze.
yeah,
Why? Because he can, and it looks cool.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna focus on dumb shit instead of enjoying something cool. Nice.
Yeah. So that's what we want to see. Is we want to see him the man just showed it. At the same time, he's a crazy person, but he's showed it. That's what I like about him too.
Exactly. Arguably the best villain in all cinema, TV series, show, fiction, nonfiction, whatever. Greatest
Yeah,
villain of
he's
all
our-
time. Anyways, with this being said, guys, thank you for watching. Of course, subscribe to the Galactic Core Podcast. Shout out to Andy once again, being the lovely family man he is now. Hopefully we see you guys back on this channel again, but shout out to Andy for having us on, giving us the stage to go ahead and perform for your audience. Hopefully we didn't bore you with any Kenobi talk, because we love the Kenobi series, and hopefully you guys do too. But yeah, if there's something you didn't like, drop it down in the comments. We'll definitely come on this side and read the comments as well, or let us know how much you liked it. But as always, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at Bailey Pie and at Clan Brandolorian, and then obviously at the Galactic Core Podcast. But with that being said, we're out.
Thanks for tuning in to the Galactic Core Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. But until next time, go get your geek on.